Okay, welcome to update part 3. Okay, so let's talk about the next part now. So next we have Bumblebee. Out of all the Transformers movies, out of everything that we have experienced, out of the entire Transformers saga, this is the closest to being good. I mean, yeah, the first Michael Bay Transformers movie was pretty good because we just haven't seen anything like that before. But as they went along, they just got worse. All they cared about were big explosions for 2.5 to 3 hours, and they didn't care about story at all. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. People complain that Elvis's movies were the same. Try the same song in all his movies over and over and over again. That is literally what these movies are like. I'm contemplating getting all of them, but I really just don't want to do it because I've had bad experiences with these movies. I've had a good experience with Bumblebee. My nose is tickling. I don't know why. It's got a good story. It's got good action. But Transformers actually look like their original TV show selves. And I'm talking about the original series. The Transformers, more than meets the eye. That show. The original Transformers, but also had a movie, which was kind of good. But I've only seen it once. But this movie was pretty good. I was actually surprised by this one. I was surprised how I would like it. It's interesting because it mainly focuses on Haley Steinfeld discovering Bumblebee after she's going through a very rough period in her life after, I think, the death of her father, I think. Here's Bumblebee. The two of them form a bond with one another. And keep in mind that the Autobots and the Decepticons, the bad guys, are in the middle of this war. So he got sent to Earth by accident. It's interesting where they were going to go with this, but I guess we haven't gotten anything because we haven't gotten a Bumblebee 2. Seriously. Make more Transformers movies like this. Please. Next is Ant-Man. This is phase 2 of the MCU. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get all of the MCU movies. I'm almost done with phase 1, so now I just need to get all the ones from phases 2 and 3. 4, that's gonna have to wait for a while. But yeah, Ant-Man. It's funny because a lot of these movies, I hardly remember them. I hardly remember what they were like. I hadn't seen them since they first came out. But Ant-Man was one of those that I did remember. And it is the same type of origin story we have heard 100 times. The idea where he needs a change in his life, and so he gets shown these superpowers, and he doesn't know what to do with them, and he learns how to use them to his advantage and become a hero, blah 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 blah. We've heard this over and over again. I liked Ant-Man's powers. The idea of somebody who can shrink down to the size of an ant and surprise his foes. I think that's a really interesting concept. But again, I liked the sequel much better. The sequel was much better in terms of action. It had a better plot, a better outline, and it just had better action, period. There's literally one scene where somebody throws a salt container and then it becomes giant, and it's funny. The Secret Garden. Now, there have been many adaptations of this story going as far back as, to my knowledge, 1949. But there may have been other adaptations in the Simon era. But this is the one I recommend. And it's only been ever issued on DVD, but oh my god, you need to check it out. I think some of you know the story already, so I'm not going to go into it, but it is a good movie. It's so good that I almost cried at the end. I'm not kidding. The ending of this movie almost made me cry. And it takes a lot, to make me feel that way, but to make me cry in a movie. But oh my god, this movie, I'm not saying it's a masterpiece But the way it was done, the way that they took the story of this little girl who maneuvers through the loss of her parents and the whole idea of loss transcending of his entire house, that idea is really well done in this particular version. So check this one out if you've never seen it. Next, we have A Woman Called Moses. When I was in high school, I did a report on Harriet Tubman, and she is probably one of the most influential people of all time. Growing up as a slave, she would become one of the first leaders of the Underground Railroad. Sometimes even going as far back as even like going back and forth between the same plantations to save the slaves, like one person at a time. And this movie, which stars Cicely Tyson, I think they got a good amount right. There's stuff they get wrong. But there's basic things in here that they get right. What they got wrong was that they call her Harriet throughout the whole movie, even though she had a different name before she was called Harriet. Some of the slave owners are fictional. I'm not entirely sure which ones, but some of them are real, some of them are not. Also, this woman helps Harriet Tubman escape, and she mentions the Underground Railroad. But the problem is that the Underground Railroad was already well known in a small circuit. There was not very many people knew about it at the time, but during this time, she would not have known about it. Harriet would have either discovered it on her own or somebody else told her about it, but it wouldn't have been her. But the stuff they did get right, they got pretty close-ish. It's hard to explain. They did get right that when she was younger, she was hit by a hard object. It was like a stone, like the size of it was like a piece of marble or something, and it hit her, and this one guy hit it at her, threw it at her head, and after that she would faint, and she would get dizzy, she would faint, and she would have these visions. So they got that right. Also, they were able to get her journeys right for the most part. I haven't seen the new Harriet Tubman movie yet that came out a couple years ago. I might check that out this week or something. Cold Turkey, which is part of the MGM limited edition collection. So this has my idol in it, Dick Van Dyke, and it basically deals with the idea of what would happen if this town quit smoking for 30 days in order to win $25,000. $25 million. I'm sorry, $25 million. It's insane. It's like if you know the film Thank You for Smoking, which was a satire on the tobacco industry, this movie is a satire on smokers and their habits and what they'll do to earn that $25 million. This movie's been released a couple of times, but this is part of the MGM limited edition collection, which I'm hoping it gets more releases because underrated movies need to be explored more. We have Cinderella Man, which is basically the real life Rocky, essentially. So, Jim Braddock, it's a true story, sort of true story movie about Jim Braddock, who he was a boxer, but then through hard times he got forced to work in this mine, or I think it's like I don't know what it is, but in this he was working in this factory, and then all of a sudden this fight's about to happen, but the fighter that was supposed to fight this other guy, he dropped out, and Jim Braddock got selected. So now this is like his comeback. He sees it as his comeback, and it's very, very important to him. I don't know the whole story. I know Ron Howard directed this, and I like his movies. Meet the Parents. Okay, so, this movie, 2000. Do you ever get that feeling where you're in love with someone, but in order for the marriage to go, you want to marry this girl, but you want to marry this person, but in order to do that, you have to give the approval of both parents. But when you go there, you feel very uncomfortable, you feel very, out of place. Let's put it that way. You feel out of place. That is basically this movie. Ben Stiller is trying to marry this woman, Blythe Danner. He's trying to marry her, but he has to gain the approval of his nitpicky, eccentric father, played by Robert De Niro. I have not seen the other Fokker movies. Fockers, like Meet the Fockers and Little Fockers. That's not a joke. That's actually the main character's last name. Back to School. There is a Blu-ray of this, but it's out of print and it's really hard to find, so I just settled for this. Rodney Dangerfield, he could be good. I loved him in Caddyshack. This is another movie that showcases his talents. Rodney Dangerfield plays a guy who's an eccentric businessman. He never finished college. So he decides to go back to college, finish up his higher education, and hilarity ensues. It's not bad. What is this in this? Burt Young's in this. Sam Kinison. Oh my god, Sam Kinison like yells at everybody. It's insane. A very, very young Robert Downey Jr. I'm not kidding. Ned Betty's in this too. And the girl from The Fog is in this too. So, next is a movie I got for free. I'm not kidding. It was one of those buy free, get free deals. The First Wives Club. I don't have much to say on this one because it's been a while since I've seen it. Goldie Hawn, Ben Miller, Diane Keaton. It's been a while since I've seen this movie. It's a chick flick, obviously. It's a chick flick, but it's an okay one. A Merry Friggin' Christmas. Okay. Let's ignore the fact that this is a Christmas movie, and it's an obscure Christmas movie, but it's one where it's just weird. Okay, so this father, he's a married man with a son of his own, and they head over to his father, played by Robin Williams' house for the holiday weekend. So he goes over there. It's like a 6-hour drive, and then he realizes, oh my god, I completely forgot about my son's gifts. So now I have to drive all the way back. I have to drive all the way back to the house, which is like a 6-hour drive. I have to go all the way over there and come back before Christmas morning. Otherwise, my son's Christmas is going to be ruined, all because maybe he hasn't been feeling beloved Christmas. So if I don't give him these presents at this specific time, then he's not going to like Christmas anymore. And his dad, mean-spirited. It's another mean-spirited Christmas movie in the same vein as films like Bad Santa, Reindeer Games, and Air Force One was decent. There seemed to be this vein where people were interested in this subject of airplanes getting hijacked. And keep in mind, this was before 9/11. Passenger 57, not. This is not a good movie, but I got this for free. I mean, Wesley Snipes, I have not found a Blu-ray of this, but it was free, so who cares? I was not a fan of Passenger 57. I liked the villain in it. I liked, who played him? Bruce Payne, Bruce Payne. I liked him in it, but other than that, the rest of the movie is just very basic. Doesn't really do anything. It's just okay. And we are done. Sorry these videos are long. I love talking about this stuff. I really do. I love talking about this stuff. It's crazy. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, good night, folks.